Residents at Brightview Senior Living Communities enjoy enhanced possibilities, independence, and choice. Brightview Dulles Corner in Herndon and Brightview, Great Falls, offer vibrant senior independent living, assisted living, and memory care services through various daily programs and cultural events. Chef-prepared meals, safety and security, transportation, resort-style amenities, and high-quality care. Everything you need is here. Discover more at brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey parents, looking for something fun to listen to in the car with your kids? Blippi and Mika have a brand new podcast, Blippi and Mika's Road Trip. Each week, the Blippi Mobile will take your kids to amazing places. Your kids will learn awesome new things about the places and things they see and hear. It's a fun, interactive listening experience for the whole family. Listen to Blippi and Mika's Road Trip on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get emotional with me, Radhi Devlukia, in my new podcast, A Really Good Cry. We're going to be talking with some of my best friends.
I didn't know we were going to go there on this.
People that I admire.
When we say listen to your body, really tune into what's going on.
Authors of books that have changed my life.
Now you're talking about sympathy, which is different than empathy, right?
Never forget, it's okay to cry as long as you make it a really good one. Listen to A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi everyone, it's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to Soul Sessions and welcome to June. June is going to shake up the energy field. It's already been shaken up. So you're like, Amanda, what the heck are you talking about? It's already been crazy making since January. Yes, it has. I think about my dad. My dad used to always say to me, Amanda, the cream rises to the top. That was one of his statements. And a lot of times it was when something challenging happened at school for me and I was trying to do the honorable thing or the right thing, or I was just being kind. He would just say, keep putting your best foot forward. As long as you are doing well, the cream will rise to the top. And that to me is really the energy of 2024 and also 2025, because next year we'll be in a 9-year, which is about integrity. And it is about standing in your highest truth and your highest light. So we're being prepared for something this year. I will say that I feel like from June through the end of the year, there's so much energetic surge, like tidal waves of energy. So what I would encourage everyone to do is when you feel motivated, when you feel inspired, when you feel creative, when you feel clear and on point, take advantage of that. Smarter, not harder, quality over quantity, but also stop and smell the roses. Meaning when you have that burst of creativity, and for me, it could be sitting down and knocking out a blog or just everything downloading. It's very clear. And then I'm able to just do it fluidly on the paper and translate it. When I utilize that energy, noticing, oh, wow, this feels so good. Wow, look what I just did. Or, oh, I knocked that out and it's so amazing. And I'm not talking about ego or patting myself on the back. I'm talking about when I feel inspired to, clear-minded, when I have a surge of vitality, when you have that energy and you're able to utilize it wholly and effectively, give yourself some credit. Like, wow, okay, that was good. Because, hello, we're human beings and we easily focus on where we don't do enough, or I didn't get this done, or I had too much rest and it borderline lazy. I was just talking about this. My holiday weekend, my Memorial Day weekend, we did not have a lot of plans. And I actually took off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And if you know me out there, I work a lot of Saturdays and I can easily work on a Sunday, but I set that boundary a while back. And unless I have a surge of creativity and I personally want to knock some things out, I reserve my Sundays for Sunday energy and Sunday vibes and friends and family and leisure, you know, my Pilates class, whatever that entails. But over the holiday weekend, literally, we didn't have external plans and commitments. So we were borderline really relaxed. But then the way that my brain works, I was like, oh, shoot, I was like super lazy this weekend. So I went straight into, gosh, you were so lazy. You weren't productive. You didn't accomplish anything. But at the same time, if I look back, I'm like, I needed that decompression. I needed to have nothing on my agenda and maybe to not even have the inspiration or the oomph to accomplish things. And listen, if I'm really honest about it, I got the laundry done. I cleaned out a closet. So that's telling you the standards in my head are already set really high. And so my definition of lazy by any means would not look lazy, but that's the way that my brain sees myself. So you see how messed up that is, that I can't just give myself permission to be lazy. And I'm smiling about it now because I needed it. I needed things that weren't engaging, and I was fortunate enough to be able really to have some downtime. So I hope you all had a wonderful holiday weekend, whether it was jam-packed and fun and full of family stuff, or you were working, or you didn't have anything on your calendar and you were borderline lazy or bored, which I was a little bit bored, but too lazy to even make something happen. Whatever you're doing, see if you can just look back and say, okay, I accept life as it is, reality as it is, and I can give myself a little bit of flexibility. And that brings us right into June. It is all about flexibility, adaptability, being able to, yes, shift your perspective, Gemini energy. And we've got a surge of Gemini energy. As you all know, well, hopefully you do. You've either been listening to the podcast or you're up on astrology and all those kinds of things. Jupiter moved into Gemini on the 25th. It's drastically different from Jupiter, the planet of expansion, being in Taurus, which is about sustainability. It is about slow and steady wins the race, the long game. And Gemini is about immediate gratification, here and now. What's next? What am I doing? How's it going? Back and forth, ping pong ball energy. So when Jupiter expands, the thinking and the communication and our brain frequencies, there's a lot of chatter, a lot of air. Venus also moved into Gemini on the 3rd of June. Mercury will move into Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury is the planet of information gathering and sharing, thinking, intelligence. So we've got that surge. And then on June 6th, of course, the sun is in Gemini, but on June 6th, the moon will join these planets. So we have all of this air energy. And in order to use it wisely, because Gemini is not as much about wisdom, not that Geminis aren't wise. You are some wise people. And if you have a lot of Gemini in your chart, I'm not saying that you're not wise, because most likely you very much are. But Gemini is about gathering information and the facts. The way that I think about Gemini is the investigative journalist. It's about putting the facts together, putting the puzzle pieces together. But with all of this energy, and especially with the new moon on June 6th, there's lightning strikes kind of energy where it can crystallize into truth, into wisdom, and be cognizant of that. I love the new moon in Gemini because it really does activate our brain frequencies and our mind, but it's like if you miss it, you'll miss it. So stillness is important, meaning getting centered and getting still. And if you have struggles and discomfort and things confronting you right now that are taxing and challenging you, get still with that, and without needing to fact find and know the answers. And this is counterintuitive to Gemini energy. It's just get still and be uncomfortable and let it process through your body. A great antidote this month, apart from stillness, which again eludes Gemini at times, but a great antidote this month really is moving your body, utilizing your body. And it doesn't matter if you're a marathon runner or just taking a walk is your jam. Get out and move your body and do it consistently. So if you feel frustrated, if you feel confused, if you feel overwhelmed, if you are overwhelmed, if you are suffering or in pain, move your body. It not only is helpful, but it will work the kinks out. It moves stagnant energy that is not helpful. So I encourage anybody out there to really remember to move and groove. And I don't care if it's turning some music on and dancing in the car. So Dennis, my husband, and I will play dominoes, or we have this new card game we're playing that my family plays called Phase 10. And if you know Phase 10, you know Phase 10. And our domino game is Mexican Train. So Dennis and I will play dominoes, or we'll play Phase 10. And, when I'm waiting for him to play, I'm usually like dancing and moving my body and doing stuff. And he really pretty much ignores me while I'm doing it. But I'm usually just dancing and moving my body. And of course, I'm not exercising, but I'm moving my body around. And then once I start, I can't really stop. I laugh at myself. I take myself less seriously. When we lived in Belize, and now I'm thinking about this and how I was really, I'm bizarre, right? So when we would play Mexican Train, and we played this a lot in Belize, and I couldn't play any dominoes when we first dealt the dominoes out, I had this deal with myself. If I didn't have any dominoes to play on the first play, I would do jumping jacks until Dennis got his whole hand together and did the thing. So I used to get up and do jumping jacks. And of course, it was just me saying, I'm going to move around. I'm going to move my body. I'm not just going to sit here and wait on him or get on my phone. I'm going to do jumping jacks. And so that's one of the things that I do in our card games or whatever. When I have downtime in, a 60-second interval, I'll jump around and move my body. So just think about funny, creative ways you can move your body. I dance in the car all the time. You can dance and sing in the shower. Whatever works for you, find your move and groove this month. It will help you, and you'll laugh at yourself. Hopefully it'll create some levity and laughter, because there is tremendously intense energy, and the lessons that are coming up for many of us right now are deep-seated karmic energetic lessons, and they're challenging to navigate or know how to respond to. And I'm experiencing that, other people are, and I'll dive into that in a minute. But in addition to this, let's talk about the numerology. And I'm just laughing as I think about it. June will be a 5-month in numerology. How do I get that? June is the 6th month of the year. We are in an 8-year in numerology. If you add 8 plus 6 equals 14, 1 plus 4 equals 5. So we are in a 5-month in numerology. The 5 ain't the 4. That's all I have to say there. Let's just think about this imaginatively or aesthetically. If you draw a 4 on your piece of paper, and you've heard me say this before, it's very linear. It's very angular. It's like a quadrant on a graph. And that's what the 4 energy is. It's like, get yourself together, figure things out, do things one step at a time. Clean house, clear clutter, be very practical. That's the energy of the 4. Well, if you draw a 5 on your piece of paper, the bottom, the base of the 5, the round part, it kind of rocks. And then it's top heavy and angular. So the top is like this heavy angle, and the bottom is feminine. So it's like masculine and feminine if your brain thinks that way, which is the way mine thinks when I'm thinking about and interpreting energy. And so it's like a teeter-totter. It's not steady. It's not stable. It's not ordered and directed. Everything about the 4 is those things: stability, order, direction, getting everything in its right place, control freak energy to the max, too rigid, all the things about the 4, the shadow and the luminous. The 5 is about variety. The 5 is about adventure. It's about expansion. And more than anything, it's about freedom. And I want you to think about what freedom looks like to you today. And yes, we can go to the freedoms that we have in life and in our country, or the lack thereof, You can look at that in multiple directions. But personally, when do you feel free? Free to be yourself, free in the world? When do you feel flexible? And this is the way I think of the 5 often, because when I work with people who have heavy 5 energy and I see it over and over again, there's a lot of times feelings of entrapment, because of course, if their lesson is freedom, they will experience the converse of that, which is feeling backed into a corner, feeling trapped, feeling stuck. And the most challenging place for the energy of a 5 is feeling stuck or feeling bored. 5's like adventure. So it's like, give me the next challenge. Give me the next thing. What am I learning next? What am I doing next? Where are we going? What are we doing? Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. I mean, hello, that's kind of like Gemini. A little bit of Gemini. I'm just telling you, the astrology and the numerology, the astro numero code, it's like exacerbated. So get ready, buckle your seatbelts kind of energy. But here's the deal is, what does freedom look like to you today? Like, what does it feel like? Flexibility. Spontaneity is where I feel free. Creativity for me is freedom. What does creativity look like for you? So just see what you come up with in defining when you feel or how you experience freedom. For me, very clearly, the first thing I go to is when I drive to and from places. I feel free. I feel like I have time, I have space, I'm traversing something, I'm going somewhere. No matter what I'm going to do, there's something about me being in the car by myself that feels like a big exhale. And that is a very simple, mundane example, but almost every time I get in the car, there's like this, I'm going somewhere, and I get to do it by myself. And listen, if you're a mom and you're picking up and toting and carting around kids, when you get those 10 minutes in the car by yourself after you've dropped everybody off, take your 10 minutes and be like, this is freedom, or this is my time. Wow, how am I going to use it? And it may be that you turn the radio up and roll the windows down, although it's getting really hot here in Texas. So that's not so much fun. But, turn the music on and dance, or instead of getting on the phone and checking boxes or setting a meeting right after you drop your kids off and talking to somebody else, like, can you take 10 minutes for yourself and just feel relaxed, flexible, and free? So figure out what freedom looks like for you and set an intention. I would absolutely set an intention at the beginning of this month that joy, freedom, fun, adventure, expansion is yours for the taking. Because if you set yourself up this month with an expansive mind, an expansive heart, an expansive attitude, the thing about the 5 is there's luck, opportunity, right place, right time energy. But it's a fine line and tricky to navigate the energy of the 5. I think the 5 is one of the most nuanced and tricky energies there is. And if you miss it, you'll miss it kind of energy. And so I'm going to give you some tools and some thought processes or how you can hone in and really capitalize on the expansiveness or the joy or the fun and the adventure that comes with the 5. Because on top of that, we're in an 8 universal year. And the 5 and the 8 energy combined is dynamic as all get out. It's creative, it's empowered, it is risk and reward. And you know how I've talked about how the energy of the 8 is about risk and reward, meaning faith over fear. Yes, you can take calculated risk. I'm prepared for this. I trust this. I know this. It's pushing my edges. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to summon my courage. I'm going to jump in with both feet. That's the energy of the 8, being prepared and trusting, getting your ducks in a row, but also taking a leap rather than just kind of inching your foot out. Like, okay, I'm going to cross the line. Oh, okay. No, just jump over. It's like jumping in the pool, or jumping in the pond. Don't just dip your toe in. Just run and do a cannonball. The energy of the 5 and the 8 is like cannonball energy, like go big or go home energy. But the challenge with the energy of the 5 and the 8 is overindulgence, overdoing.
Hey parents, looking for something fun to listen to in the car with your kids? Blippi and Mika have a brand new podcast, Blippi and Mika's Road Trip. Each week, the Blippi Mobile will take your kids to amazing places.
Click, click, put your seatbelts on. Get ready for a ride. We're gonna have some fun.
They'll explore and listen to the sounds of amazing places like farms, racetracks, the moon, and even
construction site.
That's right, Blippi.
Follow your ears. What do you hear?
And they'll meet new friends along the way. Alongside Blippi and Mika, your kids will learn awesome new things about the places and things they see and hear. It's a fun, interactive listening experience for the whole family. Listen to Blippi and Mika's Road Trip on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Elliot Connie, and this is Family Therapy.
My best hopes, I guess, identify the life that I want and work towards it.
I never seen a man take care of my mother the way she needed to be taken care of.
I get the impression that you don't feel like you've done everything right as a father. Is that true?
That's true, and I'm not offended by that.
Thank you for going through those things, and thank you for overcoming them.
Thank God for deliverance.
Every time I have one of our sessions be positive. It just keeps me going.
I feel like my focus is redirected in a different aspect of my life now.
So, how'd we do today?
We did good.
The Black Effect presents Family Therapy. Listen now on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get emotional with me, Radhi Devlukia, in my new podcast, A Really Good Cry. We're going to talk about and go through all the things that are sometimes difficult to process alone. We're going to go over how to regulate your emotions, diving deep into holistic personal development, and just building your mindset to have a happier, healthier life. We're going to be talking with some of my best friends.
I didn't know we were going to go there on this.
People that I admire.
When we say listen to your body, really tune into what's going on.
Authors of books that have changed my life.
Now you're talking about sympathy, which is different than empathy, right?
And basically have conversations that can help us get through this crazy thing we call life.
I already believe in myself. I already see myself. And so when people give me an opportunity, I'm just like, oh, great, you see me too.
We'll laugh together, we'll cry together, and find a way through all of our emotions. Never forget, it's okay to cry, as long as you make it a really good one. Listen to A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
But the challenge with the energy of the 5 and the 8 is overindulgence, overdoing, overly optimistic attitudes. And gosh, I'm even careful when I say that. I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking overly optimistic. No, I want people to be optimistic, but it's not about such idealism that you're delusional. It's about being optimistic, but also being prepared, doing what you know, utilizing your innate gifts and talents in a way that creates more vitality, more joy, more happiness. So I would ask everybody else out there, apart from what does freedom look like to you, what are your innate talents and gifts? What do you know are your divinely seated, God-given gifts? What are you excellent at? What are you great at? Where do you feel useful, fulfilled, valuable in what you know how to do? And I don't mean just you've learned it, like, oh yeah, I'm really good at this. Like, what is that for you? Some people are connectors. I think about my cousin Amy Brown, who a lot of you know or are familiar with. I think she's a phenomenal connector for the sake of connecting. One of the things that I value and appreciate most about her is she introduces people without insecurity, because I know her very well, but I watch her and I know my personal experiences with her. She's like, oh, you need to meet so-and-so, or, oh, yeah, y'all should talk. And it's never like, oh, gosh, well, if they talk, then they're not going to be my friend. Because there's a lot of people that are not connectors, because they're like, well, if I introduce you to this person and then you all become friends, because that's insecurity, right? Because we all have insecurities or competitiveness, whatever it may be. But with her, like, she is a genuine connector and maven. It's one of her gifts. She loves to do it. She loves to connect people, and she gets joy out of it. So that's a God-given talent of hers. She has many, many talents, but that's one of the talents she has that I watch, I appreciate, and I think is pretty incredible. So talents don't have to be, I'm really good at math. Or they don't have to be, I am an excellent watercolor painter. They can be those things, obviously. But what are talents that you have that you know you do, and you do it wholeheartedly and joyfully because you just can, because why not, and you're good at it? Name those talents. And I will share this with you. When you use your talents and they come naturally because you can, there's an element of freedom and flexibility and creativity in that, and just vital life force. So consider that. With the energy of the 5 and the 8, so overindulgence, workaholism, and I will say this, if you are struggling with alcoholism or some kind of addiction, not just addiction to drugs, but addiction to work, addiction to food, addiction to shopping. I mean, we can have addictions in many ways. Watching TV and zoning out, escapism in its multitude of forms. If you have been struggling with some form of addiction, the energy in June will test your limits and exacerbate that. That's the trickiness of this energy to me, is if you've got something that is really out of balance, unhealthy, or creating dis-ease, it may be exacerbated this month. So if it's been on your heart to get help or get support or tell on yourself to somebody, if you've been keeping a secret that's eating you alive, this is the month to summon your risk and reward, your bravery, your vulnerability, and tell someone you trust or ask for help in a really honest and dignified way. Hey, I'm struggling. I need help with this. Or I don't know what to do, but I don't want to live this way or feel this way anymore. Or this secret that I've been holding in, it's eating me alive and it's taking my vital life force, and it's not creating freedom, it's creating entrapment. So just think about all the ways that this may be impacting you, because this energy, here's the nuance of the 5. When you take big risk, you say, hey, I need help. And I think saying, hey, I need help can be like risk and reward energy, because it's not about surrendering and cowering down. It's about surrendering to win, or saying, hey, I want to change this pattern of behavior, or I'm ready to heal. I can't live like this anymore, or I can't hold the secret in because I don't have any solution in it, and it really is diminishing my health, my well-being, my happiness, my joy. Asking for help can really be a big stepping stone, and maybe asking for help is talking to your higher power or your soul, starting there, getting on your knees and saying, something's got to give. I can't stay in this state of mind or in this disease or in this dark place any longer. I think about the Indigo Girls song, Closer to Fine, and listen, shout out to 90s lesbian music. That's all there is to it. That's what I've got to say with that, because I love the Indigo Girls. And if you're born in the 90s or the 2000s, you're like, Amanda, who are the Indigo Girls? Well, look them up. They're my favorite album of theirs. It's a live compilation album, and it's called like 1,000 Curfews, and it's all live, and it was a box set CD. So if you know a box set CD, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're born in the, maybe like 2008, you're like, what's a box set CD? Well, Google that. But anyway, Indigo Girls, Closer to Fine, one of my favorite songs, and I will turn that on in the car. I mean, their lyrics are just pure joy and wisdom to me, and they speak to my soul like they always did. In the 90s, I can remember driving and listening to the Indigo Girls and blasting their music, and I did it yesterday too, so like this happens now. But the song Closer to Fine, there's a line in it that says, I wrapped my fear around me like a blanket. I sailed my ship of safety till I sank it. And I think about all the times in my life that I have found comfort in my fear. Meaning I wrapped my fear around me like a blanket, like a safety net. I sailed my ship of safety till I sank it. And I mean, listen, I know this is philosophical, but I mean, their songs are really philosophical to me. But sometimes when we get in really deep fear and dark behavior and dis-ease, we cross some kind of line where that dis-ease becomes like a safety net. Dysfunctional behavior, dysfunctional relationships, toxic relationships, a toxic relationship with alcohol or drugs, a toxic relationship with your eating habits and your body and your physical health and well-being, a toxic environment at work, a job that is just sucking the life out of you and not rewriting your resume and putting yourself out there, just staying in it and complaining and complaining and complaining. Listen, I'm like checking the box for all the things I just mentioned to you. I get it. I've been there, but there's this fine line between fear to where it becomes natural, normal, and safe, and it becomes darker and darker, and then the ship sinks. And all of a sudden, we're out of options, we're out of resources, or we've caused enough damage. I've caused enough damage that it's seemingly irreparable. The energy of the 5 can create a trickiness that way. And so that's why I was saying, if you have something really deep and personal going on and you're in a tremendous amount of suffering, this would be the time to maybe take action and ask for help, or get on your knees and really surrender it and say, show me, help me, give me the courage to make a change, show me the solutions, because I can't humanly figure them out. I need divine intervention. And the funny thing about the 5 is when there's like an immaculate surrender or big, bold, brave action that says, I'm going to go get help, it's like bam, 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 luck, opportunity, miracles, synchronicities, right place, right time, and will just start to happen. And you still may miss the miracles, you may miss the synchronicities, but if you keep on the path of whatever healing that you're asking for and health and well-being, you'll start to say, oh my gosh, my life is changing. Oh my gosh, I feel so much freer now. I didn't realize how much pain I had been in for way too long. And I just asked for help, and somebody offered to help me. And even though I was afraid, I started to change some behaviors or continually seek help or do some things differently. And wow, I'm starting to see progress. And I will tell you this, but in the numerology, with the energy of the 8 this year and the 5, I think this is probably one of the most opportunistic months there is, and it's one of the most challenging months. Yes, April was super challenging. Hello, that Mercury retrograde rocked everybody's world. But to me, this is more like soul level challenging kind of energy, like any deep, dark stuff that you're like, wow, I want to heal that. This is your opportunity for expanded energy, expanded healing, receiving help, receiving a new set of tools for your toolkit that you just didn't even know were available to you. And I want to give you an example. And I was trying to, Elizabeth, my producer, and I were talking about this before we started recording, and I was trying to figure out how to communicate this practically. But since the eclipse in April and then that big Jupiter-Uranus conjunction,
Hey parents, looking for something fun to listen to in the car with your kids? Blippi and Mika have a brand new podcast, Blippi and Mika's Road Trip. Each week, the Blippi Mobile will take your kids to amazing places.
Click, click, put your seatbelts on. Get ready for a ride. We're gonna have some fun.
They'll explore and listen to the sounds of amazing places like farms, racetracks, the moon, and even
construction sites.
That's right, Blippi.
Follow your ears. What do you hear?
And they'll meet new friends along the way. Alongside Blippi and Mika, your kids will learn awesome new things about the places and things they see and hear. It's a fun, interactive listening experience for the whole family. Listen to Blippi and Mika's Road Trip on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get emotional with me, Radhi Devlukia, in my new podcast, A Really Good Cry. We're going to talk about and go through all the things that are sometimes difficult to process alone. We're going to go over how to regulate your emotions, diving deep into holistic personal development, and just building your mindset to have a happier, healthier life. We're going to be talking with some of my best friends.
I didn't know we were going to go there on this.
People that I admire.
When we say listen to your body, really tune into what's going on.
Authors of books that have changed my life.
Now you're talking about sympathy, which is different than empathy, right?
And basically have conversations that can help us get through this crazy thing we call life.
I already believe in myself. I already see myself. And so when people give me an opportunity, I'm just like, oh, great, you see me too.
We'll laugh together, we'll cry together, and find a way through all of our emotions. Never forget, it's okay to cry, as long as you make it a really good one. Listen to A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Elliot Connie, and this is Family Therapy.
My best hopes, I guess, identify the life that I want and work towards it.
I never seen a man take care of my mother the way she needed to be taken care of.
I get the impression that you don't feel like you've done everything right as a father. Is that true?
That's true, and I'm not offended by that.
Thank you for going through those things, and thank you for overcoming them.
Thank God for deliverance.
Every time I have one of our sessions be positive. It just keeps me going.
I feel like my focus is redirected in a different aspect of my life now.
So, how'd we do today?
We did good.
The Black Effect presents Family Therapy. Listen now on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Since the eclipse in April and then that big Jupiter-Uranus conjunction we had, so the eclipse was, I think it was April 8th, and then the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction was April 20-something. Since that time, there's been a noticeable timeline energy shift. It's like we have shifted into another reality. And you may be over there saying, what, Amanda? No, I've got the same stuff on my plate. Everybody still needs these things from me. I'm not talking about not having your life and the stuff and the day-to-day responsibilities. But there was a pretty drastic shift in my energy field in the weeks to follow, where I started seeing things differently, even the way that I interpret and receive psychic information, intuitive information. A lot of that on a sensitive level was changing for me, but also the way that I see people, the way that I see environments, the way that I personally see and synthesize energy is changing, which means the way I communicate or behave isn't going to work with the old energy field. The responsibility is on me to do my detective work with myself, with my soul, to figure out how to live in and harness this higher frequency. The other thing I'm seeing with that is there's a massive number of people who, it's like they shifted timelines. They went higher, they went brighter, and they're figuring all of this out, which is very much the way I feel. And then there's people who stayed in the fear blanket. I wrapped my fear around me like a blanket, and I was like, I'm going to stay in this mess. And I'm laughing. This is the grossest analogy I have, but I'm going to use it. It's like, nope, I'm going to sit in my dirty diaper. I'm just going to sit in it because it's the devil I know, and I'm not going to get up and change it. I'm just going to stay here and pout. And I'm not pointing any finger saying, you're doing this wrong or you're in your fear. But really notice, since April, have you seen a shift within yourself? Are you staying in old patterns, old relationships, old disease, old behaviors, and are you still there? Or have you noticed some shifts within yourself over the course of the last 6 or 8 weeks? If you've noticed and taken action and noticed the shifts, take an exhale and recognize that within yourself. If you feel like you are still treading water, still in the same place, and it's getting harder and more immense, there's more pain and suffering, it's okay. It's okay. We have so much dynamic energy, and it's like arms and angel wings are reaching down to pull you up. But in order for them to pull you up, it's imperative to ask them for the help. They want you to reach your hand back out. And this month to me is like, okay, for all those stragglers that are still stuck, reach your hand out and reach your hand up and ask for help. Reach up and say, I can't do this, I need support, or I can't live this way any longer, or this is detrimental to my life, my vitality, my happiness. I'm scared as hell, but I'm ready for a change. This is the month to do that. Okay, so I was very serious in what I was just saying right now. But there is a pretty drastic shift. And what I shared in the last podcast was about where I've excused energy before in people. And I tell you what, within a week's time, I mean, I recorded that podcast a week ago, and I have rolled up my sleeves and done the work. Meaning when I go into environments and I notice energy that might be heavy in someone or dark or just all around not good, not bueno, I notice that my natural inclination when somebody has heavy or dark energy is to include them. And the normal Amanda, the old Amanda, think, well, why wouldn't I include someone? Why wouldn't I help inspire them or lift them up or go introduce myself to them or give them a kind eye or a smile? And I'm not talking about withholding kindness or love or light, but I looked at my motivations around that and very hardwired patterns of behavior. And that's just a way for me to deal with the discomfort of their energy is, oh, they're not healthy or they're not well. Let me lighten up their day because their energy is uncomfortable to me and I notice it. And instead of maybe just not engaging at all, I find a way to reach out and include. And so I have shut myself down multiple times within a week span of reaching out and engaging with heavy energy. Now, if someone reaches out to me, I can respond and I can be supportive, but it's like I'm not looking for dark energy to help and bring up to the light. I'm focused on my light. That is probably the clearest way I can communicate it is I'm not reaching my hand out into the darkness to test myself and see if I can help or love or support. I'm dancing around it, not ignoring it, or I'm not just shutting it out. I'm just not engaging unless it engages with me. So think about that. And I know that will be helpful for some of you because there's so many people in this audience who are highly empathic, extremely heart-centered, seekers who want to grow and heal and share and inspire. I mean, most likely that's you out there. And we can utilize our generosity by sharing and inspiring better if we kind of mind the gaps, mind our manners a little bit with who we engage with and still being able to do it with love and compassion, but not picking up the stragglers just because we can. And again, it's not about being not being a humanitarian or not being generous and loving and kind. No, right now we need our reserves. Focusing on our own light and how we get to be generous and loving and supportive or inspirational with people in our lives or people that we engage with. So just be mindful of that. And I will say too, with the energy this month, what's interesting is we've got all this Gemini energy, the new moon on the 6th, and the new moon on the 6th is so potent to me. It's freaking electrifying energy. Freaking set an intention. And don't set 20, Gemini. Set 1 or 2 solid declaration intentions. Today I declare. I've been using that a lot and I have kind of found it extremely useful. Today I declare joy. Today I declare an open heart and an open mind. Whatever your intention is, seed unintention, maybe 2. I always say this. I'm always like, okay, fine, do 2. You can do 3. I do whatever you want, but I would hone it in quality over quantity with your intention. But I would, and I don't know why this is coming to me right now, but I would literally write that intention out, get your journal out, write it out on a piece of paper, tear the paper from the journal, and stick it in a book. Stick it somewhere that you're going to forget about it. So write out your intentions, for the month, your intention or 2 or 3, and then go put it somewhere you're going to forget about it. In a journal, in a book, fold it up, put it somewhere, and then literally let the universe, let the field work its magic, work its germination magic. And if you can really do this and kind of put it away and forget about it, put it on a shelf, you'll be amazed because you might find that intention or those intentions 2 years later or 6 months down the road. You'll open a book and you'll totally forget about it and they will fall out. And you might prepare to be amazed. But to me, the energy of the 5 in numerology and this new moon denote making a wish kind of energy. Blowing candles out on a birthday cake kind of energy where you put it out into the field and then you smile and you breathe it in and breathe it out, and you walk away or you go eat cake. I've always used that analogy with clients and intention setting of, hey, when you blow out candles on a birthday cake, do you blow the candles out and make your wish and then go say, okay, well, how am I going to accomplish my wish? How am I going to get to? No, you blow the candles out, you make some kind of outlandish wish, and then you eat a piece of cake. That's the crux of setting intentions, making wishes, letting the universe germinate them when you do it without attachment. And if you want to up-level your intentions anytime, or your manifestation practices, or this new moon, I'll give you some sauce for that. Say you write out your intentions on your journal page, you go to tear it out and put it in a book. When you put it in a book or a journal or on the shelf or in your junk drawer in the kitchen, wherever you're going to put it, pause for a minute when you put it away and then say to yourself, okay, with that intention or these intentions that I just set, how are they helping me? How are they expanding my life? How are they adding value, abundance, healing, health, whatever it is? Okay, get that down. In your mind's eye, just breathe that in, get clear on that. And then you say, how are they helping the people in my life? How are those intentions affecting and helping and positively impacting the people in my life? And then beyond that, say, how are my intentions going to help humanity? So I just went from simple intention, making a wish, putting it on a shelf, to saying, well, if you want to play big time, like if you want to play in the major leagues with intentions and your heart and your expansiveness and your compassion and your light, versus giving your light away when it seems obligatory, or the motive is people pleasing, or I'm a savior. I'm a savior. I'm going to save you and make you happier and healthier. That's where we could go to my behaviors. You know, if I went really down into the ego with that. But instead, just be extremely generous in the intention behind your intention, and then you boom, 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 you start reverberating it out by how is this going to positively impact my life? How is it going to positively impact the people in my life? And how is it positively going to impact the earth and humanity and other people? And you breathe in, you smile, and you walk away from the intention you planted. Do that on this new moon. Do it on the first of the month, too. The first of the month, June 1st, is a very powerful day.
Hey, parents! Looking for something fun to listen to in the car with your kids? Blippi and Mika have a brand new podcast, Blippi and Mika's Road Trip. Each week, the Blippi Mobile will take your kids to amazing places.
Click, click, put your seatbelts on. Get ready for a ride. We're gonna have some fun.
They'll explore and listen to the sounds of amazing places like farms, racetracks, the moon, and even
construction site.
That's right, Blippi.
Follow your ears. What do you hear?
And they'll meet new friends along the way. Alongside Blippi and Mika, your kids will learn awesome new things about the places and things they see and hear. It's a fun, interactive listening experience for the whole family. Listen to Blippi and Mika's Road Trip on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Elliot Connie, and this is Family Therapy.
My best hopes, I guess, identify the life that I want and work towards it.
I never seen a man take care of my mother the way she needed to be taken care of.
I get the impression that you don't feel like you've done everything right as a father. Is that true?
That's true, and I'm not offended by that.
Thank you for going through those things, and thank you for overcoming them.
Wow. Thank God for deliverance.
Every time I have one of our sessions be positive. It just keeps me going.
I feel like my focus is redirected in a different aspect of my life now.
So, how'd we do today?
We did good.
The Black Effect presents Family Therapy. Listen now on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get emotional with me, Radhi Devlukia, in my new podcast, A Really Good Cry. We're going to talk about and go through all the things that are sometimes difficult to process alone. We're going to go over how to regulate your emotions, diving deep into holistic personal development, and just building your mindset to have a happier, healthier life. We're going to be talking with some of my best friends.
I didn't know we were going to go there on this.
People that I admire.
When we say listen to your body, really tune into what's going on.
Authors of books that have changed my life.
Now you're talking about sympathy, which is different than empathy, right?
And basically have conversations that can help us get through this crazy thing we call life.
I already believe in myself. I already see myself. And so when people give me an opportunity, I'm just like, oh, great, you see me too.
We'll laugh together, we'll cry together, and find a way through all of our emotions. Never forget, it's okay to cry, as long as you make it a really good one. Listen to A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The other thing with the energy this month is after we have all this air energy, guess what we have? Cancer energy. We have water energy coming in, and it's like boom, boom, boom. So we've got all of this beautiful energy with Jupiter in Gemini and all these planets. That's why I'm kind of honing in on utilize it. If you're going to make a big leap of faith, if you're going to make a big change, use this juju in these first couple of weeks of June. Do it, use it or lose it. Once the energy moves into Cancer, and we will have both Venus and Mercury will move into Cancer on the same day. And right after that, the Sun moves into Cancer. And immediately following that, we have the summer solstice and a full moon in Capricorn, Cancer's polarity, Capricorn energy. So we go from all this air energy, which is using your minds, using your communication, setting those intentions, being clear, to moving into the waters of Cancer, the healing elixir, the intuition, the wisdom. So whatever you're working on in the first couple of the weeks of the month with your mind, your thoughts, your communication skills, the voice in your head, clarifying all of that, seeking freedom, asking for help, risk and reward, the things that I've discussed, then once we get all this Cancerian energy, it's a little bit slower, it's more intuitive, and it really can cultivate and germinate wisdom. I'll talk about that later in the month, but I just want you to be mindful that there are some energetic shifts. And on top of all of that, Saturn will retrograde at the end of the month on the 29th. Saturn is in Pisces. If you're in your Saturn return, hopefully you know this, and I'm sure you just freaking feel it, because it's pretty obvious to me in the collective, because not only is Saturn in Pisces, Neptune is hovering at the last degree of Pisces right now. Neptune rules Pisces. Saturn is a bit uncomfortable in Pisces because Saturn is about infrastructure and order and direction and everything in its right place, foundational living. And Pisces is about dissolving things. It's about creativity. It's about submerging into the collective and the unconscious. So it's very energetically foggy. So with the Gemini energy and the clarity of the mind, use that, because once we get all this Cancerian energy that doubles down with both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and Saturn basically standing still in the sky right now because it moves pretty slowly. So when it stations to retrograde, it's going to be a while before Saturn is moving retrograde at a quote-unquote normal pace in the sky at its normal speed. So we've got Saturn standing still, and Saturn is like the father of the sky shaking its finger. Do this, get this done. I told you so. Listen, I embrace Saturn for the lesson it has because it creates maturity. It creates healthy responsibility. It gives me the opportunity to show up and take care of business. But in Pisces, it's a little elusive. And what I've seen through this transit and with all of this heavy Piscean energy with both Neptune and Saturn in Pisces is lots of victimization, lots of martyrdom, and a lot of self-pity. And those are the low vibes of Pisces. They just are. We love you, Pisces. You're compassionate, open-hearted, creative, juicy energy because y'all are amazing. And when you're amazing, you're like no other. But when you're in your martyrdom and your victimhood, why did this happen? How could this happen to me? And listen, I'm not I am not making light of that. Been there, get it, know what that feels like. But it's like, if you are struggling right now with a lot of self-pity, why did this person, and blame, that's the other one that's coming up. Why would this person do this? Why are they behaving this way? Why are they acting this way to me? That's when you get to say, hold on, let me take that person out of the picture and really get clear. What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling sorry for myself. Life is unfair. This is unfortunate. This is abusive. This is not okay. This is unhealthy. And that's when you get to summon your courage to say, okay, what can I do about it? Can I make a change? Can I communicate differently? Can I go get some therapy and some help? Whatever your form of really pulling back to your side of the street and owning your victimhood. And that's easier said than done for many people. And for so many of the people in this audience, we have a lot of privilege. There are people in the world who are in very dangerous and horrific situations, and their solutions look a lot different than ours. They don't have the freedoms we have. They live in war zones. There's genocide. There's bombs going off. There's terrorism. That stuff is real. And there is nothing about me that is unaware of that and doesn't beam my love and light and healing and intention and attention out into the planet. That's why I said, when you're setting your intentions and you say, how is this going to impact me positively? How's this going to add value? How's it going to add value to the people in my life? Well, the way I think about it when I set intentions, because they're sometimes just about living better, being happier, being healthier, being kinder, sometimes having healthier boundaries, whatever that may look like. But if I say, how does this impact the world? People I don't know, people I may never encounter, whatever that intention is, it's adding in more love, more light, more clarity, a higher frequency. It's bringing in health, happiness, and well-being. And while I may never touch that person or know that person in their trauma and their pain, me working on myself, there's opportunity there. And who knows down the road what that could lead to? Because let's say I wanted more money in my bank account. Because a lot of you out there, I know what your intention is I need to make more money, or I need more money in my bank account, or, oh my gosh, I'm working so hard and I'm not making enough. Okay, like, I get it, been there, am there sometimes. But it's like, okay, if I'm making more money, let's just use this example. How is that going to impact somebody in a war zone in Gaza? Okay, like, that's a big leap, but I can track it pretty darn fast if I get really clear on that. So how does it help me if I'm earning more money? What is the real truth of that? If I have more money in my bank account, less or no debt, then I'm living within my means, feeling abundant, and I get to be more generous. And that's where my heart is I want to be financially responsible and comfortable, because I'm generous with my time and energy, but I love to buy gifts for people. Like, when it comes down to it, the truth of me is, if I see something I think somebody would love and I'm out at a shop or doing something, I want to be able to buy that gift for that person without saying, oh my gosh, is this on sale? Oh my gosh, can I afford this? Because that's where my little miserly brain goes is, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can spend this much on them, but gosh, they would love this so much. And then I get all like delusional and stressed out with it versus saying, oh my gosh, they would love this ridiculously expensive candle. I'm getting it for them without even thinking twice. So how would abundance impact me? Well, that's how it would impact me personally. How would it impact the people, the immediate people in my life? Is I would be and feel more generous and comfortable and easygoing, because I know financial insecurity for me creates stress. I get smaller, I play smaller, I fixate, and that impacts my day-to-day relationships with people because I become irritable, impatient, and I'm not right-sized spiritually when I'm in a lack consciousness. I know how it reverberates. So that's how it would impact the people in my life. Then how would it impact people that I may never know or touch? If I am more financially abundant and there is a connection with that to generosity for me, it might not happen next week or next month or within the next year, but if I can sustain that abundance and become more financially viable and vital and healthy, then I might get to go on a mission trip too, or an outreach trip too, or I might get to donate to XYZ cause. In the here and now, how could it impact people far away from me that I may never touch? just the intention that I want to do it and I want to make a positive contribution to people who are lacking or suffering, that intention might be enough to start. It just takes one thing, like one spark to start a fire. So hopefully that example helps you think about how big my intentions are and how big yours can be. When I set intentions, it's not just about, oh my gosh, I'm desperate, I need this. That's like one of those empty prayers. Oh God, if you help me out of this one time, then I'll never do it again. I don't set intentions. My intentions are prayers, and I don't set them out of desperation. If I'm desperate or in a wonky mood, then I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it in a place of, how is this adding healing, health, well-being, greater consciousness to humanity, to the planet, to other people, to healthier interactions with me and other people. So just think in this expanded way, because that's what this energy with all this Gemini gives you. And the 5 energy combined with the 8 is so dynamic and can create a ripple effect of opportunity, new doors opening, right place, right time energy. But it requires some gumption. It requires a drastic change or raising your hand and saying, I need help. How do I do this? And I'm scared to death, but I'm going to follow through. That's something I want you to think about for yourself and get very clear, because there is a lot of support in the energy field and the momentum of these next 6 months ahead for some pretty radical change, radical healing, radical growth, radical consciousness shifts. And it's like, come on, make the jump to the higher frequency and then start to play with the energy differently. I have a really exciting announcement. I have been working behind the scenes for a little while now, and you know how I harp on community and finding your people and finding your tribe and prioritizing time that is not just what you have on your plate, you know, work, family responsibilities, taking care of a sick parent. Yes, I know all that stuff can pile on, but I know for me, spiritual community, having healthy community is really how I grow and how I give. It's like when I have people that I am connected with and we are learning and growing and sharing together, it's pretty incredible the exponential growth I receive in that community. So I am launching something called the Conscious Collective. It's the Conscious Collective by Soul Pathology. And it will be up and going on the website by June 1st. So there will be information about it. And it is a smaller group of people. It'll kick off July 1st, so there's a month to sign up if this is something you're interested in. We'll have information on the website, and we'll do a bonus episode of the podcast where I really talk about the motivation behind it, what we'll do, how we'll dive in. And it's basically a spiritual mentorship program in community. So I will obviously be the guide and the mentor for this crew of souls, this crew of people who are seekers and searchers and really wanting to flex their muscles in an intuitive, in a profound, in an expanded consciousness way, inviting in 5D energy, figuring out how it's working, sharing that information in a group format. And it's pretty extensive. It's a 6-month commitment. It'll start July 1st and it'll run through December 31st. And we'll do a couple of monthly Zoom calls. There is homework. There's stuff from me every month. You can hop on the website and find out all about it. Again, it's called the Conscious Collective by Soul Pathology. It will kick off July 1st. There will be a limited number of slots for this, and there'll be a little intake form, so it's not like you can just say, I'm in, I've got it. It's like you got to fit the mold, because this crew is a dedicated, dynamic crew that I am assimilating so we can learn together. And if this is not for you, or you can't do it, or you can't commit the time, no stress on that. There's plenty of other tools, resources, and ways to expand yourself and your spiritual life, and I will be rolling out more educational content over the course of the next few months that really you can utilize, whether it's around working with new and full moons, numerology. I'll be doing a lot of things, so there will be plenty of resources. But if this is something that interests you and you want to do a 6-month deep dive in community with other like-minded and like-hearted seekers, this may be for you. And I am over the moon excited about this, not only for holding space and learning and growing, but also because I think that learning through community, again, like I said, exponentially harnesses our potential. And it's pretty phenomenal what can happen as a result of that. So we'll have some information in the show notes, but just know over the course of the next few days, by the 1st of June, that opportunity will be available. You know, and if you're listening to this the last couple of days of May, before June 1st, remember, May has been a 4-month in numerology. So I love house cleaning, getting everything in order, clearing clutter like that. You've heard me say that 25 ways to Sunday. But here's what I'm going to tell you I'm going to do. On Thursday, which I think is the 30th, I've got to run into Austin. I have an appointment and I've got to go into Austin. And I have not closed my mother's bank account. I mean, I have done a lot of things around order and direction this month and cleaning closets out and getting things done that just feel really foundational and good to me. But I have dragged my feet on that, and there's not much money in it. I think there's a couple $100s, but hey, a couple $100 is a couple $100. But I have dragged my feet because it's actually just really far out of the way, and I have to bring her death certificate. But, you know, you can read between the lines. I've dragged my feet because it's another level of closure around my mom. It's another level of grief. So what am I doing to clear house on the last couple of days of this month? I'm going to go close that bank account, and I'm going to do it, and I might sit in the car and cry and put that money in my wallet and smile and say, thanks, Mom, because that'll happen. I can guarantee you I'll say, thanks, Mom. It makes me want to cry just thinking about it, but I'm going to go clean house. That needs to be taken care of. So if there's anything in your life that you've not been taking care of, whether it is just cleaning out a drawer, or you need to do something administratively, or you need to, register your car, or go get your inspection. Go get it done before June 1st. Go do it. Go get it done. All right, everyone. I hope June really is prosperous and expansive and creates new momentum and excitement in your energy field, because we all really deserve it. Be well.
Does money stress you out? Let Facet flip your financial chaos into clarity.
We feel way more confident and secure in our finances, and with that comes a sense of freedom.
Financial planning from Facet is here to help you improve your life today, tomorrow, and every day after that.
Facet was really the place where we saw all of the tools and the people coming together.
Visit Facet.com, FACET.com to learn more. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice. These testimonials are from current Facet members who are not compensated. All opinions are their own and not a guarantee of a similar outcome.
Residents at Brightview Senior Living Communities enjoy enhanced possibilities, independence, and choice. Brightview Dulles Corner in Herndon and Brightview, Great Falls, offer vibrant senior independent living, assisted living, and memory care services through various daily programs and cultural events. Chef-prepared meals, safety and security, transportation, resort-style amenities, and high-quality care. Everything you need is here. Discover more at brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey parents, looking for something fun to listen to in the car with your kids? Blippi and Mika have a brand new podcast, Blippi and Mika's Road Trip. Each week, the Blippi Mobile will take your kids to amazing places. Your kids will learn awesome new things about the places and things they see and hear. It's a fun, interactive listening experience for the whole family. Listen to Blippi and Mika's Road Trip on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.